John chapter 4. 1 John chapter 4, I will not give you the verse yet. I know some of you are on gadgets and that's what is helpful, but we won't read ahead today. Does that sound good? Now I hope that what you're here for is this is a kickoff of a new series. We have been covering the topic empowered. I hope this new series will capture your interest and even inspire you to get your friends interested in experiencing the love of God. Ultimately, isn't that all we want? Isn't that what we really want in our lives? Love. To be surrounded by meaningful, satisfying, reliable relationships. I want you to know people are out there pursuing all types of success, fulfillment, but at the end of the day, we were created to love. At the end of the day, we all want meaningful relationships, don't we? I want you to understand, studies show that one component for a longer, satisfying life is meaningfulness. Meaningfulness. People thrive when they know their existence is of greater importance than just pleasing or protecting themselves. That's when people thrive. When they just know they are here for more than just pleasing or protecting ourselves. Now, whether we admit it to ourselves or not, relationships that matter, not just any relationships, relationships that matter are foundational for a satisfying life. You know, too few people out there pursue relationships that matter. Too many people choose friends based on who pleases them or who protects them. Meaningful relationships, relationships that matter, are different from typical relationships. Did you know that? Typical relationships. Typical friendships, you know, they tend to be formed by chance or by circumstance. That's it, chance or circumstance. It may be people we've known for a long time, so then that's a meaningful friendship to us. Maybe people we have fun with, people who do things for us, maybe people who are like us. These are some of the foundations for just kind of typical friendships. And typical relationships, they can be called organic or natural friendships. Have you ever said that? I want our friendship to happen organically or naturally. We think these are great relationships because we use the word organic and natural. It's like we bought them at Whole Foods Market. This friendship. This is my friend. He's non-GMO. Gluten-free. That's my friend. Gluten-free. No, that's kind of processed. Oh, natural. That must mean that's a really great friendship. But where's the power in that? Now, don't get me wrong. See, relationships in general, they're built on some sort of commonality, some basis for connection. Literally, that's the definition of a relationship. I'll read it to you. I got it off the internet, so you know it's true. The way in which two or more concepts, objects, or people are connected, or the state of being connected. That's the definition of a relationship. So yes, do we need to have a common bond? Do we need to have a basis of connection? Absolutely. But just think how powerful friendships can be when the common bond is faith. When the common bond is faith. See, what better way to have meaningful relationships than having them be formed with faith? Instead of typical natural relationships, how about having supernatural relationships? Supernatural. Doesn't that sound better?
Yes.
Yeah, everything sounds better when you put a big S on it. But not with the bikini underpants on the outside. Put the S and the K, it just sounds better. Supernatural relationships. Now what should I say? I feel blessed. Because I'm surrounded by these kind of heroic friends right here in this church. Now guess what? I won't listen. Why? Because it would take too long. Not because some of you would feel left out. No, you are such great friends, even if I left you out, you'd be like, we're still great friends. The list would be too long. And if you're visiting with us, I want you to know this room is filled with best friends, the best friends you could ever have. And if you want a summer of love, I believe you're starting right in the right place right here. Come on, dude. And what's special about our friendships is that they're forged by faith. They're forged by faith. Your life can be filled with meaningful relationships if you learn to be intentional and spiritual about them. Amen. Intentional and spiritual about them. That's what we're talking about, forging relationships that matter. You can learn how to forge relationships matter rather than just letting them happen to you. And the summer of love is kind of designed to help us kind of have more than just random natural relationships. The summer of love will teach us how to forge supernatural relationships that matter. Do you want that today? Now what we're going to be doing over the next couple of months is we're going to be reading through 1st through 3rd John. And that's towards the end of the Bible. And hopefully you're already at 1 John chapter 4. But we're going to be reading through 1st through 3rd John to help us, understand how to make this a summer of love. Now, here's some backstory. The Apostle John wrote 1st through 3rd John. Sound good? Yeah. That's why it's called 1st through 3rd John. Right? Now remember though, not every book of the Bible is titled after the author. Right? So 1 Corinthians is not written by Joe Corinthians. But John did write 1st through 3rd John. Let's go read 1st through. And here's the thing. Why are we looking at 1st through 3rd John for the summer of love? Well, John is called the apostle of love. And that's what he talks about a lot, all the time. Love, 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 love. And so we're going to study his writing. Let's go to 1 John chapter 4, verse 1. 1 John chapter 4, verse 1. You were just waiting. Which verse is this? Dear friends, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God, because many false prophets have gone out into the world. This is how you can recognize the Spirit of God. Every spirit that acknowledges that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is from God. But every spirit that does not acknowledge Jesus is not from God. This is the spirit of the Antichrist, which you have heard is coming and even now is already in the world. See, what we see here is John is emphasizing this. He says, hey, I want you to know that Jesus resurrected in the flesh. He came in the flesh. Jesus had this physical resurrection. Now, I want you to understand, no one will dispute, especially back then, that Jesus was a person who walked the earth. Everyone knew that. The come in the flesh John talks about is Jesus' physical resurrection after he was crucified. You guys get that? Mm-hmm. And the background is that John is trying to safeguard the church from being confused by what he calls the Antichrist. Right? My voice is scratchy today. I'm trying to make it deeper, but it's the Antichrist. Just we think of Antichrist, right? That word Antichrist, doesn't it sound like demon people? Yeah. Ooh, the Antichrist, right? They'll speak in a British accent and wear black. It's like, and they have names like dark something. When I think of the Antichrist, I think of like The Omen. Remember the movies Damien? Omen 1, 2, 3, 27. Damien, head spinning. I am the Antichrist. You will not have me. Those kind of things. And whoever these Antichrists were, okay, we're actually not sure. Right. That's the thing you understand. Who the Antichrists were, we're not sure. Yeah. We can't go back in time. I don't know if they had like 666 on their forehead or shiny yellow eyes, but some theologians believe these Antichrists were people that the theologians label as Gnostics. Gnostics. It's spelled Gnostics. Gnostics. It's spelled Gnostics, but it's pronounced Gnostics. Sound good? because in English, the G is silent. But anyways, these people may not have gone around. I mean, they weren't going, hey, I'm a Gnostic. Hi, how are you? Gnostic here. They weren't like a specifically identified group. Okay? So they had their Gnostic club and they had their Gnostic requirements. That wasn't the situation. So it's kind of it's a label that theologians put on a way of thinking. Gnostics were not a formal group. They're kind of a label that theologians gave to people with a certain way of thinking. Well, what was that way? One belief. We're just going to look at one belief. That was identified as Gnostic. Is the physical world is inherently evil. The physical world is completely bad. Gnostic beliefs state that Jesus could not have resurrected in a physical body because Jesus was pure and holy when he resurrected, so he couldn't have a physical form because the physical world was what? Bad. That's what they believed, that everything physical was bad. And Jesus couldn't come in a physical body because the physical world is corrupt. And Gnostic thinking would claim Jesus must have resurrected as a spiritual being without physical form. You guys get that? But whether or not we label these antichrists as Gnostic, John was trying to keep Christians from drifting spiritually. And I want you to understand, there will always be a tendency for us to drift away from the heart of true Christianity. See, one of those great friends I was telling you about earlier, here's Prashad giving me... Come on, there he goes. Listen, I'm going to make it to that list. Dave will mention that. And I did. It worked. You're a true friend. You're a true water-bearing friend. There will always be a tendency for us to drift away from the heart of true Christianity, like I could drift away from the sermon. And over again in the Bible, people drift from the heart of God. The physical world actually is not inherently evil, but our physical reality can distract us. It can distract us from spiritual truth. Satan himself is looking for ways to get us to drift from God. He uses this physical world to distract us. And in 1 John, John tells how we can avoid getting confused spiritually. You want to stay focused spiritually? How many of you want to stay focused spiritually, right? You know, God said, hey, let me keep you from getting confused, from drifting. He tells us how we can avoid drifting. He tells us how we can know who to trust. And the first thing is this: people who are rooted in Jesus resurrecting from the dead. That's the first thing. It says you got to make sure that people are really connected with Jesus resurrected from the dead. Let's take a look at 1 John chapter 4. Here's the second one. 1 John chapter 4, verse 7. In 1 John chapter 4, verse 7, the Bible reads, "Dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God." You know, there are two qualities that John talks about. He says, first, they've got to really be into Jesus coming in the flesh. Jesus resurrecting from the dead. But secondly, you can tell by their love. You can trust people who love like Jesus. Amen. When it comes to what we can rely on, when it comes to proof, we can look at two things: the resurrection and love. When we're looking at John and what he says, basically here's a concept that you can kind of always bank on. It's not the focus of the lesson today, but you can bank on it. Love proves everything. Isn't that true? Doesn't love prove everything? That's what 1st, 2nd, 3rd John. I mean, they're different books to different audiences, but one thing you'll always see: love, what? Proves everything. So we can avoid being confused and being deceived by just looking at one thing: love. John wants you to deeply know what's right, so you can tell who's wrong. You know, I think a lot of times we get confused. We drift. And some people will say, hey, I'm going to help you know what's wrong by telling you what's wrong. I'm going to focus on they're wrong, that's wrong, don't do this, don't do that. But John wants you to deeply know what's right, so you can actually tell who's wrong. He says, look for the people who are resurrection-minded and who love like Jesus. Rather than being on the alert for who is bad, train yourselves to know what love is. Then you'll keep from being fooled. See, a lot of times we've been raised, some of us have been raised in unhealthy environments. And so we allow things in our lives that are hurtful, that might be abusive, and we don't even know it because we actually don't know what love looks or feels like.
Come on, Dad.
And it can make us kind of victims. And so it's so important to know, what does love look like? And what does resurrection power feel like? Did you watch some Democratic debates this week?
Yes.
Sarah Jordan did. And here's the thing. I don't want to get too political. But, no, I'm just joking. And when you're a minister, you have to kind of keep it on the neutral.
Yeah.
But that's hard for me.
All right.
But one thing I know, the people who would capture my attention is this. It's important to hear about what people stand for.
That's right.
Not who they stand with.
That's right.
It's very important for people, if you want to follow them, they got to talk to you about what they stand for, not who they stand against. And you have to kind of feel like this big vision, don't you? I'm telling you, I was a little irritated this morning. You go, why? I got a smoothie from Jamba Juice. And yesterday I got the same smoothie in the city of Torrance. Then I go to Manhattan Beach. Get the same smoothie this morning. With my friend Annie right here. We go, let's get a smoothie before church. And he made the list.
He made the list. You did it.
We made the red list. And I could not drink that smoothie. Because I was in the city of Manhattan Beach. Aren't you interested in what? I was tired after the first 4 sips because it's illegal to have a plastic straw in the city of Manhattan Beach. And you know what a paper straw does to your smoothie? It ruins it. You are sucking in heat paper into your mouth. That smoothie disintegrates the straw little by little, and then you're picking out straw to just drink a smoothie. I'm listening to debates. I want to see big changes that are going to make a difference. I don't want to save the environment by drinking out of a paper straw. We can talk about not all we want. John says, hey, let me tell you what's so important and what's so big. And what's so important and what's so big is the resurrection and the love of Jesus. Now, we'll spend most of the time in the series talking about aspects of love. But today, we're going to focus on the resurrection. How does that sound?
Amen.
Because friendships that are forged by faith begin with a faith that Jesus resurrected. Let's go to 1 John chapter 1. We're going to start 1 John chapter 1. I'm sorry, this was just the introduction, but the rest of the sermon will.
That's okay.
No, my turn.
1 John chapter 1. You'll see that in 1 John, he emphasizes this thought. Jesus came in the flesh. Jesus came in the flesh. He resurrected. 1 John chapter 1, verse 1. That which was from the beginning, which we have heard, which we have seen with our eyes, which we have looked at and our hands have touched. This we proclaim concerning the word of life. The life appeared. We have seen it and testified to it, and we proclaim to you the eternal life, which was with the Father and has appeared to us. See, the resurrection is so important that John begins 1 John by emphasizing that he saw Jesus resurrected from the dead.
No.
He touched the resurrected Jesus with his own hands.
This is how the
Jesus' resurrection proved the reality of eternal life. That's what he's saying. And in 1 John chapter 1, verse 3, let's go there.
Come on.
It says, we proclaim to you what we have seen and heard, so that you also may have fellowship with us. And our fellowship is with the Father and with the Son, Jesus Christ. See, John's basically saying this: I want to reassure you that I saw Jesus physically resurrect. And I do this so that we can have fellowship with one another. Isn't that an interesting thought? So I want to tell you that Jesus resurrected. And I tell this to you because that's the foundation of our fellowship. The fellowship was forged around faith.
Amen.
Faith in the resurrection. Why is the physical resurrection so important? The physical resurrection proves that Jesus is more powerful than death.
Amen.
You understand that? Jesus is more powerful than death. See, I want you to understand, God has death-defying power now.
Amen.
Here on earth. See, we confuse being heaven-minded with actually being spiritual-minded. And this is a hard concept to get. Because intellectually we may think we get it. But do we feel it? If you follow Star Wars, and remember, if you're visiting with us, I'm a big nerd. I have to study to give you a sports analogy. But the nerd analogies just flow from me. It's a beautiful song. But if you follow Star Wars, there's this thing called the Force Ghost. Have you ever heard of that? Like the Force Ghost? Obi-Wan, Yoda, Anakin, and now Luke Skywalker. You know, yeah. Luke Skywalker is now a Force Ghost. When that person dies, sure, we're comforted. You know, we're comforted. Well, he's a Force Ghost now. But the best thing they can do is whisper in your ear. Use the Force, dude. That's all they can do. They can glow and smile at you at the end of the movie, and they can whisper to you. So you feel sad when they die. And many religions are heaven-minded. Many religions believe in ghosts and spirits, but all ghosts do is haunt you. They can reassure you there's an afterlife, but they have no power right here, right now. That's an important thing to understand. Physical resurrection is more powerful than a ghostly afterlife. A physical resurrection is more powerful than a ghostly existence. The physical resurrection tells you about the power of the Spirit right here, right now. The Spirit has power over the physical. Something can seem dead today, but be resurrected tomorrow, on this earth. When we lose the resurrection focus, we lose sight of God's power right here, right now. Gnostic thinking looked at the physical world as evil, but that's not exactly true. There is evil in this world, and Satan uses this world against us. But Jesus has power over everything. Amen?
Amen.
Jesus has power over everything. The resurrection tells us God is more powerful than any physical defeat this world has to offer you. Did you know that?
Come on, Dad.
Our physical selves in this world, our physical selves and this planet, okay, get this, are like cell phones.
Come on.
What? Cell phones. Look at your phone. I don't care if it's Android. Sometimes I don't care if it's, Apple. Cell phones are incredibly powerful. Today's cell phone has millions of times more computing power than the computers that sent people to the moon in the 60s. Not 10 times, not 1,000 times, millions of times more computing power in your hand than what sent people to the moon. That tense? I looked it up on the internet. It's true. But think about it. When we buy one, when you buy a cell phone, we don't just buy the phone, do we? We buy insurance, protective case, We buy protective screen. We get a data plan. We get what? We get an external battery, especially if you have an iPhone. Anyways. You see, the cell phone alone is extremely limited. If it has no data, it has no cellular service, then what do? You just kind of play whatever game you got to download or came with the phone. You can't download anything. Nothing. What does it do? All that computing power isn't working for you. If you run out of juice, and you don't have more power source, what is it? It's a coaster. You put it in your, remember I'm a nerd, you put it in that nerd pocket that you have, so in case someone shoots you right there, you'll be protected. My phone right here, in case someone shoots me, I'll be protected. It's a flashlight. It's a flashlight. What uses are there? Calendar. You guys are so helpful, see? Cell phone, although it's amazing, is extremely limited. It needs miracle. It needs full power. You know who Jesus is on this one? He's your insurance plan. He's your connection. He's your power source. He's your protection. And the resurrection says, yes, Jesus is that powerful right here, right now. Can I get an amen to right here, right now? Amen. You go, well, what does that mean for me? Well, that means if you have this kind of faith, real faith follows Jesus. That's right. Real faith will follow someone with that kind of power. The physical resurrection changes. It changes how you look at life right now. See, so few churches focus on the resurrection. Did you know that? So few churches focus on the resurrection. They focus on Jesus' death. Every church out there emphasizes that Jesus died for our sins. Every church out there does it. Oddly, few churches emphasize that He resurrected in the flesh. They acknowledge it, they don't emphasize it. Most churches celebrate His resurrection only one time a year. And guess when that is? Easter. Chris Jordan, my dear friend, said Christmas. I get email articles from a website called crossway.org. A recent article on this website was sent to me. It says 4 reasons we neglect the resurrection. This is a big issue in modern Christianity. Popular mainstream Christianity admits it does not emphasize the resurrection. Isn't that intense? And why do so many overlook the resurrection? Because the crucifixion invites us to receive God's love. The resurrection calls us to imitate God's love. It's one thing to receive God's love. It's another thing to imitate it. Receiving from Jesus is easy. People talk about Jesus dying for our sins because the result is that we should receive forgiveness through Him. But you know, following Him is hard. The resurrection calls us to follow Jesus to the cross ourselves so we can experience the same resurrection power that He did. So are you ready for that kind of power?
Amen.
The resurrection is different from the crucifixion. The resurrection calls us to act. The resurrection calls us to follow. The resurrection calls us to be transformed right here, right now.
Amen.
1 John chapter 2, verse 6. Come on, Dave.
Come on, Dave.
In 1 John chapter 2, verse 6, whoever claims to live in Him must live as Jesus did. Did you know you must imitate Jesus to live in Him? Real faith lives like Jesus has power now. Do you have that death-defying faith now? Death-defying faith. Spiritual power is extremely important in building meaningful relationships. Because when it comes to love, we can feel deadly hurt. When it comes to love, we can feel deadly betrayal. Have you ever been in an argument with someone you love? Raise your hand if you have not. I just wanted to see all of you. Picture there. All of us have been in a fight with people we love. And guess what? We can feel so deeply hurt in the moment, can't you? It just hurts. It feels like we're gonna die. It feels like McDonald's French fries. I've told this story to you before, but we've all experienced something. That was my moment growing up. McDonald's French fries. When my parents would take us out and we got to go to McDonald's and each of us got French fries, and then someone in the car would say, "Can I have one of your fries?" Did you ever feel that? Oh my goodness! They're taking away my arm! I don't know what about it. Like, no! You had enough! What's wrong with you? You know, you're so selfish! You know, all these things, and then they come back at you. You're so selfish! These are my fries! I mean, it's just intense! Even if my parents who bought me the fries, they bought me those fries. I'm so grateful my kids are nothing like that. They share it. In my family, it was who sat in the middle, in the back seat. Have you ever had a family like that? They'll walk into the car, window, and if you're the slow one, you know, my sisters would tell me, you're the bull. First it was you're the youngest, so you know, it's more comfortable there. Then after I was, you know, bigger than they are, well, you're the boy. They can't use that now in the new way. What? It's sexist thing. For others in the room, it'd be that dance your parents don't let you go to. You're gonna die if you don't make that dance. It's the video game your parents tell you to pause. My eyes are burning! You may be stuck in your relationships. You may be in a rut. For your relationship to have meaning, you need to have the faith to hold it up. The rut, the resentment, the fear, they can die. And here's a statement we're going to say together, because I want you to remember the physical resurrection tells us something greater can come later. Can you say that together? Something greater can come later. Encourage each other with that. Something greater can come later. Isn't that an awesome thought? It can die today. But guess what? Something greater can come when? Later. Right here on this earth. Because you have to follow Jesus to the cross to experience the resurrection of something has to die for something great to come later. Your faith has to be living and active today, forming and guiding your relationships right now. Can you believe something greater can happen later?
Yes.
What can we do? All I want us to do is we need to go on a search today. I want us to go on a search. I want us to find death-defying faith and death-defying fellowship. Romans 10, verse 17, we won't turn there, I'm going to read it. Consequently, faith comes from hearing the message, and the message is heard through the word about Christ. You know, faith actually only comes from one source. That comes from hearing the word. The faith that God works through. Supernatural, death-defying faith and love must come from a supernatural place. You can't have supernatural love and faith without connecting to a supernatural source. And for us, as a church, it's God's word. Anchor yourself in the Word so you can find the strength and courage to follow Jesus to the cross.
Amen.
Commit to learning the Word in order to find that death-defying faith that forges meaningful, lasting friendships. Can you do that? Make a commitment today. I'm going to really dig deeper this week. It's going to help me. It's going to anchor me. Find friendships that forge death-defying faith. You know, because faithful people, they're headed in the same direction. I want you to understand, you go, well, how do I have great friendships? You got to head in the same direction as those people. I remembered so many people from high school thought high school was everything. But when I graduated from high school, I went to Northern California. My other friends went to other places, and we now hardly see each other anymore. Why? Because we went in different directions. And some of us, we won't have the benefits of being with faithful people, but we're not going in faithful directions. People can't be close if they're going in different directions. Ask your existing relationships even right now. So some of us, you go, well, I got to get into a faithful direction. I got to find some faithful people to hold on to and grow with them. But you know, you can even ask your existing relationships. Hey, you know what? We have been in a rut. We're not going in the right direction. There's tension around us. Can we together head in the direction of faith? Ask your existing relationships if they want to build deeper faith with you. Get faith coaching. Find people who are living out the faith and love you want in your life. Don't look at the material. Don't look at their pocketbook. Don't look on the outside. Look at the love and the faith they live on the daily basis. And say, hey, can you coach me in my faith? Because I want to be where you're at. We'll close out 1 John chapter 4. 1 John chapter 1, verse 3. 1 John chapter 1, verse 3. We write this. Paul just says this. Why does he write this book? He says in verse 4, 1 John 1, verse 4, we write this to make our joy complete. You know what's interesting? If you look at the footnote, some translations have it as our joy complete. Other translations say, I write this to make your joy complete. Either way. He might be saying our, not his, but our collectively, we're joyful together. Or this is for your sake, so you're joyful. But if you really bond, forge friendships around resurrection faith, you're going to have complete joy. You know, I believed in the hype. I checked on the internet, because the internet is always true. I found out there's an Avengers re-release this weekend. And I said, wow, we got to go. And so I called he made the list, friend Juan Maceo. I said, Juan, you just know who you're going. Let's go see Avengers. It's re-releasing. They have deleted scenes. It's going to be awesome. He goes, yeah. We were going to go really late. He goes, Dave, I've invested $70 this week on babysitting so we can go see this. Okay, so we were the real deal. So we went and saw it, brought my kids. Now, Juan and I are probably more excited, and my wife. We were more excited to see this than my two kids. But anyways, we just pulled them in. Make them do us the favor of seeing the movie with us. And so we watched the movie, nothing. Until after the credits. And then there's this scene, and it's not even that good. That's disappointing. But I was not sad. You know why? Because I liked the movie. My wife and I were laughing again at certain things that we saw 3 times before. I saw it 3 times before that. But the special features were disappointing, but you know what was kind of cool? Re-experiencing the joy of being with heroes. Re-experiencing the joy of people who are willing to, whatever it takes. And they go, gosh, I want to be in a fellowship with heroes. Amen. People have this spirit, whatever it takes. Those are the friends you kind of want to live and die with, aren't they? There's no greater joy than being with heroes. In a fellowship of heroes. To be a hero, a fellowship of heroes, people who just understand the pains of loving past disappointments. Who understand the pains, what it takes to really empathize, to listen, to sacrifice. And when you're with a group of people who all have that same spirit, you go, wow, there's complete joy. Let's pray as we kick off our summer of love. Father, we're so grateful.